Right, let's see how this goes, shall we? Hello, my name is Matthew, welcome back to the channel. Today we will be doing a very deep dive review into this week's Death in Paradise. This is season 13, episode 5. And with this one, I always make some extensive notes in this notebook. But pretty soon this notebook will be empty, which is a shit. Sorry. Soon this notebook will be full and I'll have to move on to another one. So then, I've just finished watching this episode and I'm going to dive straight into it. Sorry, must have got some food in my mouth with you now. Alright. For starters, they picked an absolutely lovely location for this episode. I think the location picking for this show has always been great, but with this episode in particular, I really liked it. It was a lovely building with some lovely set design, and I was so impressed. Marlon's sister was a nice touch at the start of this episode, and it does just really introduce us into Marlon's final episode. So this is a very key moment in the history of Death in Paradise, and I'm going to have to star this episode in my book. So remember that this is the end of Marlon, which is a shame, because we do like Marlon, despite his rather unfortunate upbringing. We do quite like Marlon on this channel, so that's a shame. Marlon getting the call from the victim was unexpected, and finding the supposed body was really nice, because obviously in the end we discover that unfortunately that is not the case. It's not the body that we see at the beginning, but it does really just add this lovely character development for Marlon, and it's really nice for us to meet what was his sort of I don't know what you call it, like I'm going to call him a mastermind of like a criminal mastermind kind of thing, because it's something that I really never thought about, but this man taught Marlon, teacher, that's the word I was looking for. Why did it take me so long to find that word? Anyway, Marlon's teacher, and it's really nice to see that in the episode, because obviously Marlon was a lovely character to get, and it's really nice to get this from them. Marlon being knocked unconscious, which I've spelt wrong in here, was extremely unexpected. So by having that whole unconscious point, we have this very unpredictability of the episode, because it gives us like that moment of, do we actually know what's going to happen in this episode or not? I mean, I can watch millions of episodes of this show and I'd probably already know the outcome, but with this episode I feel like you're in for a treat, because unfortunately there's not a lot of like, but we'll see. We shall see. Marlon's connection with the victim was very lovely to watch. I have already really explained the connection, but it was really nice to watch. And as someone who's watched Marlon from the start, it does just add to the character. So, especially with it being the last episode, I was really sad by that. But I mean, it was expected. We knew he was going to go eventually, and unfortunately, it's something we have to get over and move on from. The choice to call Marlon was a lovely plot point for the episode, and it just add these questions to follow through the episode, which is something I really enjoy. Selwyn coming to the hospital was a nice touch, especially with his connection to Marlon. I mean, the connection to Marlon is lovely, and it's something we don't get to see very often, where the characters have this really close connection with each other, and that's something I really, really enjoyed, and I really wish we saw more of. Marlon's notice, though, it was tough to hear, and he's only... I mentioned this later, but he's only been in the show 3 years, and it doesn't feel like that long. Like, that sounds like not a long time, but that's like 3 seasons of the show at 8 episodes. So that's quick maths, 24 episodes, each at an hour. So that's 24 hours. That's a day's worth of Marlon. So I suppose I can admit that it is a nice thing, but it's nice for him to go in a sad sort of way. Yeah. The interview with the victim, with the victim's, I called him the associate here, was interesting, and it does really just immediately say, you're a suspect. It's like traitor's list. You're a traitor. Are you sure you're not a traitor? Sorry. Honestly, I'm gonna be enjoying Traitors this year. Sorry, I know I've missed it. I'm rewatching it on BBC iPlayer. I missed it, but it's fine. Anyway, it was a really nice interview. We don't get interviews like that very often where it's pretty obvious they've done something, or they at least know something, they're just not telling us. So that was a really, really, really nice moment in the show, I guess. We don't get that very often, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll get it again for a while. The Jamaica school was a nice plot point and good for Marlon's character. And it also... Sorry, I'm very much aware that my head just went out of shot for a very long time. But it was very good for... the episode. I mean, this episode has a lot of ups, and it's something that I love. I mean, it's not very often that I get to sit there on my sofa watching a program like this and then go, oh. But really good for the episode, and I really enjoyed it. I wrote quite a lot down for this one, with it being Marlon's last. I didn't know it was going to be Marlon's last this season, and it's really a shame for it to be Marlon's last. But I suppose it does make sense. It does make a lot of sense. The drinking Catherine's bar was lovely to watch. Very sad, but it's nice that he came out and said it on his own terms. He didn't have to give it through the commissioner or through the inspector or through somebody else. So that was very nice. I suppose the last thing any of us really want... Sorry. These things I'm weak. Sorry. But it's really, really, really nice to get that. It's really nice to get that, and I do love it. And so when talking to Catherine about Marlon was lovely, because obviously he has a strong connection with Marlon. He was the one who got him out of trouble and trained him, and also denied him for the sergeant's test. But it's lovely, and I'm really glad that this is where the character's going. I mean, it's not very often I get to sit there and say, wow, that is what I wanted. So, yeah, this is something I said before. I can't believe it's been 3 years since Marlon joined the force, because that, to me, does not feel that long ago, because that's right when I started. It had Florence in that season. Yeah, so that was Florence's first season back. I think that was the season where we got cameos with Dwayne. Yeah, some really, really nice cameos in this as well, and good references as well. I've not mentioned all of them. The threats were very interesting to learn about, like through family of victim. I mean, it's not very often that the family of the victim are the ones giving out the threats. That's a lie. It's quite usual that they are the ones giving out the threats, but it's fine. I mean, we do like it in this show where they do that, so I'm gonna leave that in there. And again, the victim's son was a great character, but offered some really good comic relief as well, especially with Naomi and going up to her and calling Naomi darling was so funny. Something we don't get a lot, where they come out and go, what was it you said, darling? So funny and so different, and I love that. The gun in the sewers was a lovely touch, especially it's a very uncommon hiding place as well. For the obvious reason, and I'm so glad that it was Marlon who thought to check. Because it adds to the whole situation with it being his last episode, seeing how far he's come from being this dodgy seller on the streets. I mean, this is just brilliant. The lack of motive was interesting through this episode. It's not very often we have to sit there and go, oh, no motive. Oh, you also have no motive. You? No motive. You? No motive. Also, the lack of suspects was interesting. There were only 2 suspects this episode as well. So that's interesting. I mean, normally we end up with we've ended up with episodes where there's been as many as 8. And we've had episodes where like this where there's been as little as 2. But I mean we had one where it was an episode with 1 suspect. I wonder who did it. Joking. Anyway, it's always a good situation. That just gonna scooch myself over. Oh, very close that. We've not been this close in a while, have we? Maybe I should just... Don't want to be looking down there. Yes, I'm in bed again. It's cold. It's the UK. I am not going back to being on a sofa. Okay? It's cold. It's winter. I need my bed. Thank you. Alright then. Moving on. The inspector talking to the parrot was some lovely comic relief, and shows like this really need comic relief. I mean, sorry, we need comic relief within the whole show to really make things better, because obviously this is all about death. You're only going to see death in this show, so to get like comic relief is lovely. We need the comic relief more than anything else, because it makes the idea of murder feel a little bit less murder. Naomi coming to the Marlon coming to congratulate Marlon's sister was lovely. Obviously she had the ulterior motive, but I mean, who cares? It's so good for their character, and I really hope to see a bit more of Naomi in the future. I think she will be a great source of friendship within the show as we go on. That could have been me speech from Marlon. So that could have been me. That's when he's talking about how I could have been the murderer. I could have been the murderer. Sorry. I could have been the one being arrested, not him. That was very, very touchy to watch. I'm so glad that they did it in that way. Selwyn going to Jamaica was lovely, with obviously the lovely cameo from JP. We don't see JP. We probably won't see him now for a little while, because his only connection now is the commissioner and the inspector. So, all that being said though, we did see Florence come back, and we did see Humphrey come back in the spin-off, Beyond Paradise. So there is every possibility that she could come back. I mean, I don't know, but I doubt it. I don't think that these two that have left, I don't think they'll be coming back. Yeah. The voicemail was an interesting plot point. Obviously only to be shot down with the alibi. The alibi is the one thing that keeps pushing us back, and unfortunately, it's something we have to live with. That idea that if you have an alibi in a murder investigation, any, motive gets shot down immediately. The victim's son watching as they leave was interesting, and obviously that is a reference to the fact that he was planning to run away. Away. So that's really nice, and checking to see whether he's figured it out yet. Sorry, I make some weird faces in these videos. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The hit and run was very interesting and really added to the story, and it made the situation feel very realistic. Obviously, a lot of these murders are very unrealistic, but I think... Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think this was possibly one of the most realistic episodes we've watched. Marlon's conversation with the inspector was nice. A lot of good conversations in this. I'm very happy with it. Then obviously, so that's obviously back when they were in the station, and they were talking, and he was like, "This is what I want," or something like that. I have literally just finished watching it, and my mind has gone blank. Not a good sign, is it? Anyway, the stage murder was interesting, and very, very different to anything I've seen before in the show, with the way it's been done. Because obviously it's a double murder, which was a great way of the murder happening. And the way that they did the interview at the end was different as well, because normally, obviously, they have gather up the suspects, we'll just tell them all together. There were only two. One of them's about to be arrested. Better go and tell the other one because he's in hospital. So in a way, it does make sense for the story, and I'm very happy with it because it was different to watch. The arrest done by Marlon was a very nice touch, especially after he ran away. Not Marlon, but obviously the suspect. JP coming to the island was nice. It's great to see interactions with Catherine, Selwyn, Marlon, the inspector. So yeah, that's nice. Marlon getting the job in Jamaica was lovely. That obviously means that we know where he is, so he could come back. I'm writing this down, by the way, because I didn't write it down. And it coming as an idea from Selwyn made it even better. Selwyn and Marlon's hug was great. It really does just finally cement their relationship, make them feel a whole lot more secure and better. The inspector's ex being Chloe was lovely. It was very funny. More importantly, it does make him distrust people even more. So I'm just going to write that lack of trust. And obviously, because of what happened with the other girl, whose name I will forget forever, he's now going to be even more distrustful, especially when we consider the fact that now his ex has lied to him as well. I mean, this whole situation is just going to get a whole lot worse. I am, however, looking forward to meeting the new officer, and that there is my notes. So, before we go any further, I would just like to... can we... will it stay? This is, by the way, the stand I'm using, it's designed for, you know, the ones that you design to attach to your windscreen. FIFA. It's one of them. So, it's not exactly what it's meant for, but I'm making it work. Because I won it, it was free. You can't see that. But before we go any further, as always, if you would like to speak to anyone about the things you've been experiencing in this episode, you can go and find support on bbc.co.uk/action line, or call 0800 666 666, or if you're under the age of 18, which I highly doubt for this episode, but if you are, you can call 0800 1111. And the comment question for today's episode: what do you think the new police officer will be like? I'm personally really looking forward to meeting this new police officer, and I think it will be something completely different. And finally, in today's episode, let's get down to business. Let's shut the notebook. Let's call ourselves done for 5 minutes. And let's do something very important. My scoring's on my iPad. I don't know whether you could see any of that or not. I couldn't see the screen. So then, let's get this on the road. The cast, I've scored an 8 for a very obvious reason of this being a very, very well performing episode. I loved the cast in this episode and would love to see some of them in other projects. Costume design, I've scored a 7. There were some weak points, but I do think that the hair and makeup was on top. Links to the seasons, I have also scored a 7. It's a rare occasion when we get any kind of link to any other season in Death in Paradise, and this season is just smashing it out of the park. We've had Camille. We've had Camille so far. So far we've had Camille. We've had Selwyn's accident. We've had sorry, this is really tough for my head to process this quickly. We've had JP, and of course I think there is far more to come because there are 3 more episodes to go, I think. Characters, I've scored a 9. Were some off points with the guest stars, in my opinion. The plots, I have given an 8. I think this was a really strong plot. The false murder, the real murder, the turnaround, and I think this is one that you can enjoy whether you're a fan of the show or not. There's some lovely music in this episode, and I've scored music with a 6. It's not one for every episode, this, because not every episode has music as deserving as this one. But I thought that this one really deserved it, and I really hope that the BBC release an album or some form of recognition of the music within this episode. If you do know if they have done that, please let me know in the comments down below. In terms of the fight scenes, because obviously there were a lot of running in this episode, I have given that 7. I really enjoy watching it because I like Doctor Who, so you know, you can read into that what you will, but I think it's been really good this episode. The villains, i.e. the murderers and the suspects, I have scored quite highly with a 10. Very strong this episode, and I would love to see some of them again, and maybe some of the cast in other projects. The rewatchability, I have scored a 7. It's a long way from my mind when I can sit here and say that this one will definitely be one that I want to rewatch. And availability, as I keep saying, I just don't know what the situation is in other countries, and I'm so sorry to have to say that, but I really just don't know. Anyway, that is where we will be leaving it for this episode. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. That's not something I like to say. I don't like it. I think it's a bit cash grabby to say that. But anyway, I will see you all in the next episode. Bye bye.